My name's Tom Berwager. I'm a second generation home builder. My job currently is I teach at Ingram State Technical College. We are a school that teaches inmates and prepares them for reentry into the communities. Hopefully by teaching them a trade or a skill that when they get out, that they're able to be rehabilitated into society and be a contributing member of society. I have almost 30 years in the business, whether it be cabinetry, home building, or carpentry in general. I spent 2 years in Quebec, Canada. I went there for the purpose of being a maintenance man on the school property there. That was really the purpose. The reasoning behind it, though, was I went to a Bible college, and during my time at the Bible college, I felt the Lord kind of pulling me into missions, and I wanted to learn more about missions. And there's really no better way to do that than actually go on a trip. My trip turned from 1 year into 2, and I really enjoyed my time there, and it was a good experience, and I certainly would do it again. Off the top of my head, one simple thing I learned was that Tim Hortons are better donuts in a coffee shop than Dunkin' Donuts, but that's just part of being in another part of the world. They're big up in Quebec, Canada. But on a serious note, learned several different things. Specifically, technologies are different. You would think being in Canada that the technology wouldn't be that much different than what I experienced in construction down here. But they are quicker to approve things than we are in the States. And that's a good and a bad thing. I think in a bad way, we in the States tend to approve things too quickly, or not quickly enough, I should say. Therefore, we wait for some of the better technology. But at the same time, when they approve things too quickly, they approve some stuff that they shouldn't have. And one of them in specific was some plumbing pipe that I had to deal with on a regular basis up there because the fittings would wear out very, very quickly because they just weren't really up to standard or the right kind of quality. And the states kind of banned that pretty quickly. But yet on the other hand, something else that technology-wise was the type of screws they had up there, what we call Robertson or square drive screws. And that was mainstream up there. They used them all the time. I hadn't really ever dealt with that here in the States. Once I started using them, I was like, man, I wish we used them all the time. And it took the States several years to come back to, or not come back to, but use those. Most screws have an indentation in the top of them. And, we're familiar with slot or straight screws or Phillips screws, which just looks like a plus sign. A Robertson or square drive is just a square inside. And because of that, the unit or driver that you use to screw those into any given item grips a lot better and doesn't slip. And for whatever reason, the states took a long time to adopt that. They didn't. And that was something that I learned and started using up there and definitely use now. And now the states have kind of come along and used it as well. But I think one of the other things that I really learned that have nothing to do with construction, but just learned about myself is understanding people. Every people group is different, but yet every people group's the same. And what I mean by that is every culture has its unique things about it, whether it be the foods they eat or their personalities and things like that. But yet they're still human. They still need compassion. They still need love. They still want genuine friendships. And I think that was something that I guess just opened my eyes a little bit. It seems very trivial, but yet at the same time, it was very real. You go to sporting events with them, and they cheer just as die hard. It's just they cheer for different things. Hockey's huge up there. In the States, if you don't live in Minnesota, Michigan, or New York, you probably don't give a flip about hockey. But man, they cheer for that just like we cheer for SEC. But yet at the same time, I remember a missionary who had just gotten back from another foreign field. And she and I were talking one day, and it really struck me with something that she said, is that, she went to this foreign field to teach English as a second language. So she was very focused on her students. And she said what she missed was the people that she was with every day, the people that she worked with. And kind of forgot that, hey, they're people too, and they need loved and cared on, just like the students that she was focused on, but yet the people all around her that she, hugged and hung out with outside of work hours were just as important. And that really struck with me because I get caught up in the job and forget about the people around me. And that was one thing that really was convicting and kind of stuck out to me. Yes, I've been to Chile, Santiago, Chile, for a week. Some friends of mine were missionaries down there, and I actually went down there to build an addition onto their house. And that was definitely a different culture. I wouldn't quite call it third world, but it certainly wasn't first world that we are used to living in here in the States. And to see some of the what they call shanties that they lived in, and even just some of the roadside stands that fresh food was being sold out of, stuff that here would be condemned, but there was just part of life.
Trust me on this. Close your eyes for a minute. Take me back to the most striking thing that kind of broke your heart or even opened your eyes about Chile. Go back to that moment in time and then open your eyes and tell me what one word comes to mind when you think about that Chile.
The people there were very kind and very happy with far less. And I think happy would be a good word, a good single word, because they do not have all the materialism that we have, or many of them don't. And that is striking. And I guess one other moment was actually not in Chile, but it was on the ride home. On the ride home, a Chilean was getting on the plane with me, and I feel confident that he had everything he owned on him. And he stunk to high heavens. And to watch the seas part of people away from him that didn't look like him, weren't from Chile, was sad. And I also had to question myself because honestly, deep down inside, I was like, well, I don't really want to sit beside him on the plane either. But he's a person just like me, and he needed to be loved on and treated with respect. But I would say if I had one singular word, it would be the people were happy. They were content. You see the world differently, even if it's just a little bit. You realize that you don't know it all. Hopefully it humbles you. I think there were times that I felt humbled. And definitely you definitely get a greater appreciation for what you have. We live in a phenomenal place. Regardless of political views, it is still a great place to live. And we have so much. And when you step into other cultures, whether it be other first world countries like what I went to, which was Canada, or you step into a second world country or a third world country, you should be thankful. I think going anywhere to study, to learn, or just to visit isn't about necessarily the subject you're studying or the topic you're trying to learn from. It's more about you growing as a person, and being abroad opens your eyes to a lot of different things.